Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Joshie.dat. As you can see here, I have done quite a few changes, as you can see down below me and all over. I took some of your guys' feedback to what I showed at the end of the last recording, and I went ahead and worked on it and added them all in and made a little fancy stat screen because that's very fun. This took some work to get right, but I think it looks awesome. Could definitely be improved on and way more simplified than the way I have it here, but it works for me, and that's what counts the most. That does not affect you at all. So I know I could improve it. I thought about including like one of those little subscriber counters that Twitch users use to keep track of their subs and stuff, but I would have had to add like 12 of them, and that just wasn't feasible. So I just simplified it to a simple image and added counters to every single set. So before we dive into playing, I should mention the totals for everything. So the highlighted, or not the highlighted, but the darker blue numbers obviously means that's how many levels are in each set that's in this grand set, Joshie. So there's 118 levels that come from Josh L1. There's 147 levels that come from Josh L2, 99 from L3, 79 from L4, 145 from L5. I'm actually not sure what levels I'm missing out of that, but there's probably some reason I excluded them. I have no way of knowing. Well, if I did more research and dug deep into it, I could probably find what levels I didn't include, but I didn't feel like doing that and adding more. L6 has 148. L7 has all 70 of its levels. Walls of CCLP3 has all 149. Trading Places has all 75. My portion of Walls of CC1 has 64. I did consider the collabs me and JB did, but I didn't include them here. But I could if it's necessary. It's just they're actual like split collabs, so I didn't feel comfortable taking the credit by throwing it into my own set, so I just include the solo levels I created. JCCLP Rejects has the most at 175, and then Other has 55. Now the Other section are mostly levels that I made but didn't put into a separate Josh L set necessarily, or were made for one distinction or another. There's a couple of most of these are all exclusive levels to like JCCLP 1 and 2. But there's quite a few here that I made that aren't in a designated set yet. You can argue some of these could be Josh L8 levels, but we will get to those when they come up, and we will go from there. But that is the totals of everything for a grand total, which isn't present on the screen, but because I didn't have the proper spot to put that in. But the total is 1,324 altogether. What I love about this counter is that every set has a unique number of levels. Obviously L3 and L4 are missing the Flareon signature level, which Josh L7 counts because that's the final version. Or actually even that's been different, or is different, but that's at the very, very end of the set. And JCCLP Rejects having the most does not surprise me. But I do like that it's an even 175. Oh, not even, but you know what I mean. It's divisible by 5, which is cool. And this took a long time to get the totals of all these levels because I made some changes, and when I documented it for the first time, when I put it all together, it was a mess and had to be updated. So I had to work on what levels weren't in and stuff. Alright, with all that out of the way, we will get on to playing, starting with Flummox Zone, which this is a Joshie.dat 6 level. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to adjust totals until the end of the video. So the numbers will not change actively. Well, they'll change actively, but I'm going to do it at the end of the video. That way I'm not stopping and adding it after every completion. So it's just easier that way. I think you can agree with that too. But let's get into it. So this one is a pretty easy level. I actually did several test recordings playing this level just because of how simple it is. It's basically Foursquare, but with the added super unique twist of getting rid of blue keys at the very end, which is not a very interesting twist, to be completely honest. But I felt like making a Foursquare-esque level, so I did. And this is what I came up with. Alright, the Nothing I've Become. This is a Joshie.dat 5 level. And it's a kind of a weird one. And regretfully uses a title that references a certain Evanescence song. I remember it got memed pretty hard back in the day. But I like the lyric of the Nothing I've Become, so I wanted to use it for a level title because I thought that was kind of sick. The goal of this one, though, is to go into this little weird structure and extract blocks out of it to collect these 4 chips. This is a level that I could probably get away with recreating in that one's pretty easy. So I think the trick is you have to set up like all these blocks at once, so you have the necessary recessed walls to get them out. Okay, so that one we have to follow out. And so on and so forth. So I hope all of you are doing well. I'm just going to go ahead and follow that block out now. This recording is being made a little later than I would have liked. But it is happening now, and that's what counts. I think you can follow it out, yeah. I actually wanted to get this recorded in the middle of the week last week, but I got caught up in activities with my father. He is in town, and we are in the middle of reconstructing a relationship that never happened. But that's not the point. Point is, he's in town, and I have been busy spending time with him while he is in town. Alright, the Nothing I've Become is completed. Now we are on the Coliseum. This is a Joshie 3 level. I think one of the better ones. One's oof and get to town on collecting some keys and running from teeth. Yeah, this is one I would probably call a Joshie 3 classic. It's not a bad level at all, I don't think. And it's pretty short and sweet. It's nothing too crazy. Yeah, see, look at that. That was so free. Alright, we're making good progress. No vacancy. Okay, I think this is our very first Walls of CLP3 level. Take advantage of the corridor here to view both rooms before solving them. Okay, so this is a level I made out of the Walls of Waste of Space. And what I did was I took the liberty of centering this, since that's a pretty important design standard these days, is centering your levels, at least in CC1. And I want to say this room was considerably more difficult than the others. But it's basically, it's just a 2-tile wide circle bend that uses teleports in both orientations. So this one's going to take a little bit of brain power. I think you want to do this. And not that. Okay, I don't want to push this up. I want to push this. Okay, that's what I want. So I can get that in there. Okay, so now I can push that down right there, and then do that. I think that's all of them. No, that's not all of them covered. I still need to do you. Which I think is just like this. Yep. Okay, so that's solved. This other one's a little easier. Let me view this one a little bit better. So there's only one button at the top, which I think is what makes this easier than the other one. So I believe I want to push the top block through the teleport, because that just puts it in place immediately. And then I think we just want this and that, and that's it. Alright, no vacancy is completed. Yeah, pretty fun little puzzle. I had a knack for these kinds of Sokobans in Walls of CCLP3. They were pretty fun to make, and I think this is one of the more interesting ones. That bottom puzzle I probably could have made a little bit more interesting, though. That seemed a little too easy, but it's alright. It's alright. Emblazoned altar. So this is a Trading Places level, and one that got into CCLP 5. I believe, if memory serves me right, this is one. I think this was one of the last selected levels for CCLP 5, because this was not considered at all until the very, very end. Okay, so I can just go ahead and shut you off. This teleport immediately leads to fire. There are no fire boots in this level. Okay, so the trick is this trap is open. So there's some pretty fun history regarding this level. Being that it's a Trading Places level, it obviously uses a wall template of one of Jeffrey's levels. This was not a Ultimate Chip 6 template, though. This was a template used from, what is that level called? Pyrite Factory? Which was itself made for a, I think Jeffrey made it as a test level for a crate competition he ran. So if you remember the level Nectar Meadow from CCLP 4, that was made for that competition. I'm explaining it really oddly. I'm aware. Anyway, it uses the same palette of tiles, because that's what that competition was. And the level I originally made for it was pretty not controversial, but it's the only level that people have actively had a problem with, and I kind of see why. I think that level's like way at the end of the set, so we're not going to see that for quite some time. But I wanted to redo a level that did use that palette, and I thought it would be really cool to use that same palette in the wall pattern that also used that same palette. And it's fascinating how different this is compared to Pyrite Factory. So what am I trying to do? I think you have to set this fireball up to hit that button, that red button. Yeah, I think that's what you're supposed to do. So you can speed it up by doing that if you wanted to risk it, but that's completely optional. And then use the blocks over here. This is the part I'm probably the most proud of with this level, to be honest, is this fireball cloner part. Okay, so we have to collect the flippers even though you already have them. You have to clear them to get the guy off the exit. And then you have to use this key to get back over this way. And I believe you just hit that once, and then you go right back to this little corner and exit. So that's Emblazoned Altar. Very fun level to make. I love the restriction of using the tile palette with it, and it was nice to get a redemption arc for Golden Sand Labyrinth, which was what I originally made with this tile palette. Pretty fun level. I am still a little stunned it got into CCLP5, but it did do well. It wasn't like an oddball pick by any means. It was just kind of random. It came up. Oh, let's throw this in the set. Sure. Why not give Joshie more levels in the set? Why not? And Slime Field also in CCLP5. Wow. Okay, this is another Walls of CCLP3 level. I used the Aftermath for making this, and the aesthetic came first. I can tell you that right off the bat. And this is a Sokoban I'm still pretty happy with, all things considered. I believe the trick is you want to do that so you can get this block over here, and then use the pop-up walls again to did I mess up? I think I messed this up. Well, I definitely did now. I want to say this was made not like a little after the halfway point in the development of Walls of CCLP3. Okay, I know you have to do this. I know you do. Oh, maybe you already do this. Yeah, that's it. That's what I missed. Okay. And then we gotta go down here. This is one I'm really happy got into CCLP5. And once you get done with that section, you can reuse the blocks to go get more chips, which I like this part. This is reusing blocks for a different purpose after the first purpose is used up or done is pretty awesome. By the way, I apologize. The hand is kind of doing its own thing. Most people will just use like a controller, and I'm sure there's some way you can hook up a controller with CC like this, but I don't know how to do it, and I haven't bothered anyone to ask, or bothered to ask anyone. So it's just kind of doing its own thing. So it might show up. I might do this. I might wave to the camera because CC's a one-handed game. You can take that out of context all you want, you sicko.
Bummer.
Okay, well at least it's a non-linear level. You can do that right away. When I first made this in Waltz of CCLP3, it wasn't completely non-linear. There were some things you had to do first, but I did change it to be mostly non-linear when I submitted it. So yeah, I hope everyone's having an awesome day, awesome week. Because videos, the fun thing about making YouTube videos is they're always going to be watched. Like, yeah, you're most likely going to watch a new video right when it comes out, which is, you know, the point. But as time goes on, you're going to kind of realize, hey, I haven't watched a Joshie video, or I haven't watched this video in a long time. Let's rewatch it just to kind of refresh my mind about it. So hearing things like, hope you're having a good week, even in the far future, you know, I hope that also applies for you. Okay, we already did that side of the level, so let's go do this top half. So in CCLP5, there was this thing that we included where we wanted to encourage the non-linearness of game design these days. Like the open world design. It's hard to incorporate that in a Chips Challenge context because the game is designed to be linear, like with its level ordering and stuff. But we wanted to encourage skipping around the set because we knew it was going to be tougher than CCLP4 and 1 were for sure. And we were even trying to go as far as not going as deep as CCLP3 difficulty, but some have said that some levels are harder than some CCLP3 levels, which I can see a couple seeming that way. So we wanted to encourage to approach the levels in whatever order you really wanted. Like, that is not a recoverable spot, my friends. Whoopsie. Well, let's go do that first. And the good thing about okay, so I did want 1 there, but I didn't want the other one. That one should have stayed like that. So a lot of levels that were submitted and ultimately chosen for CCLP5 inclusion, a lot of them had secret hints of some kind.
Bummer.
Oh, come on, buddy. This level was one of them. Used to have a secret hint a little bit north of this chip selection where you had to clone even more blobs to reach it. I removed it for this because that was exclusively a Walls of CCLP 3 thing. But a lot of levels have that. So we thought that would be a cool way to incorporate approaching the levels in CCLP 5 however you wanted for the most part. So if you wanted to skip to the hard stuff, you more or less could. But let's be real, most people probably would just play the game with no passwords enabled, so you can just skip to whatever one you naturally want to. But at least we included a method where that didn't necessarily depended on passwords. Okay, I'm actually going to do this next. It was a good way to expand on the whole secret hint thing that CCLP 4 had. And who knows what CCLP 6 is going to do with secret hints, if any are even going to be part of it. It's going to be so interesting to see how CCLP 6 and just any CCLP in general in the future is going to be like. My opinions are on what the next CCLP should be. I definitely think it should be CC2LP2. As much as I love CC1, I do think it should transition between the two games. And naturally, CC2LP2 should be the next one. But it really just depends on who's up for making that choice a reality, like taking that initiative. But in terms of me like running a staff or even being on a staff, I think I'm good. I think I'm cooked. I don't think I want to do it again. Also, this corridor with the exit does have a blob in it, and there's a bomb by the exit, so it is possible this blob could still be alive by the time you beat it, but I think I've only seen one person mention it, so it's unlikely to be the case. Alright, dynamic equilibrium. I think this is Joshie. Okay, there's two levels in Joshie. There's one in Joshie 4, one in Joshie 5 with dynamic in the title. I think this is the L5 one. So this is just a joyride level. That I'm surprisingly getting. Wow. I one-shotted that first section. Okay, so now we got to avoid the red locks. Ah, that was close.
Bummer.
Whoops.
Bummer. Bummer.
He died the same way there, man. Not there. Not there. Oh, he did there. Almost skipped that chip. That wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have made it a little bit more complicated. Okay, so now we gotta avoid the thieves. Which I instantly failed to do. Oh, you love to see it. I think we should get some new blood in the CCLP staff scenes. Because, I mean, JB's been on every CCLP staff except CC2LP1 since CCLP3. I have been on CCLP4 and 5. I mean, I guess it could be interesting to be on a CC2 set staff. But I would not have a significant role in it. I would probably just be like a tester or something. So I won't say no to being on it, but I will say no to running it. I should not have hit that. I will not run a staff ever again. I'm grateful my time on the CCLP5 staff was much less hectic than CCLP4 was. Oh, come on. I'm going to fail at this for a minute. Like, we had some pretty prominent community folks on CCLP4 staff. You know, we had me, Jeffrey, Tyler, Andrew, JB. Oh. Okay, that last Joyride section is pretty tough.
Bummer.
But I'm going to try not to do it. I'm going to try to do it without, like, pause buffering. I don't think I've ever pause buffered anything in my life. Oh, how did you do that again, man? Come on.
Bummer.
And, you know, there were some pretty historic debates on CCLP4 staff. You know, the infamous shuffling versus pushover, which is no longer really relevant because shuffling got into CCLP5. Just to find out it's busted, which kind of sucks, but... There we go. Got it. Alright. That is done. I think that's the Joshie.dat level, though, so we'll count that towards it. Alright. Box cutters. This is, I think, our very first level that would go into the other category, because I don't believe this is in any Josh.L set. Which I'm not sure why. Oh yeah, that's the gimmick. So every time you hit a clone button, you get both a block and a tooth to deal with. That wasn't ideal.
Bummer.
Sorry, I had a little itchy there. Alright. There we go. I tried to do that last time, but I guess I had the parity wrong. Okay, this is a pretty cool idea. I forgot I even made this. Okay, so we have to... Oh, it's one of these concepts. Okay. Pretty cool deal. I'm not sure what the point of that was. But I got the key. I'm not sure what the point of that block cloner was. Okay, I think the gimmick here is... Yeah, teeth are cloning as you're filling this corridor up. But there is slide delay happening. It doesn't really affect it too much, though. Go directly left once you enter the teleport. Okay, what was the point of the block? Okay. That is box cutters. Interesting level to replay. I can't tell you the last time I've played this level, so pretty cool to do it again. I have some questions on to my past self what I was aiming for with those block cloners. But oh well, I guess I can remove them. But that was interesting. Pretty interesting concept. Okay, sit a dark aisle. The ever classic location in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I have not played that game in a long time. I remember doing a Let's Play of that game years and years ago, but I would not recommend anyone seek that out. Okay, so... I don't remember this level being terribly strict, so... we shall see. We shall see. Didn't really give me a worthy trade at all. Okay, 2 chips left. And I think you need one for the exit too. So where's the last chip at? Oh yeah, I definitely messed that up. Oh no, you don't need one for the exit. Never mind. So I just went into territory I didn't need to go into. Okay, that seems right. I could keep going. Yeah, that seems okay. Still one short.
Bummer.
Okay, I don't think I've ever failed this level this many times before, so I am doing something stupid that I'm not thinking about. Oh yeah, I should probably go ahead and mention that just recently, I think last night, I made a... Oh cool, I got 2 out of that. I made a CC Zone forum post, which, yeah, you haven't seen one of those in a while. Looking for feedback and thoughts on levels of mine you would like to see me recreate. And I know that probably sounds like a pretty self-bloating thing to ask for, but I figured I'd give everyone the opportunity to give opinions on what levels they think would benefit from being redesigned or recreated if you've played them. I mean, it's kind of an awkward question to ask, and probably one I shouldn't ask in the first place, but I don't want to just recreate stuff only I want to recreate. I kind of want to give other levels a chance if I can, so it's more or less just, you know, pick which ones you think are cool already and could be even cooler being recreated. Alright, Shimmer Glimmer. What a level. What a hint. Number the traps from 1 to 7 in reading order. 2 and 3 lead you out into the yellow key. 1 and 6 lead to blue. 5 and 7 lead to red. And 4 leads to the exit. Yeah, good luck fitting that in MSCC. Okay, 1... So 2 and 3. Okay, that was not the way to do it. That is also not it. Okay, that's how you get out. And then you have this dumb bug cycle you have to catch the spot you can get out of, which that was kind of dumb, but I liked it, and I still kind of do. So this level is a blatant, blatantly kind of it was inspired by rotation with the numbering trap concept. Okay, I put a hint out here. 1 and 6 lead to blue. Okay, so that's literally just that. Honestly, it's one of those levels where explaining the numbering system is more complicated than the actual level itself. So I think 5 and 7 lead. Yeah, they lead to the red key. Okay. And 4 leads you to the end. Alright, Shimmer Glimmer is completed. And that, my friends, is another 10 levels completed. In a little bit less than an hour, even with a lengthy intro. But keeping it at 10 levels seems to be pretty reasonable so far. I could go for one more, I guess, just as a bonus, but I'll save it for later. So now is the time where we go through what we just played and add to the counters of what each level belonged to. So, Flummox Zone was Josh L6. What else was Josh L6? Citadel Dark Isle. And Shimmer Glimmer. So we got 3 we played from L6 today. So we'll take this and add 3 to it, make it 4. Alright. Nothing I've Become was Josh L5, and Dynamic Equilibrium was also L5, so L5 goes up to 3. The Coliseum was Josh L3, so that also goes up to 3. No Vacancy and Slime Field were Walls of CCLP3, so that finally gets added to the list with 2. Emblazoned Altar was Trading Places, so that also goes up to 3. And Box Cutters, I think, is our first other, so that also gets added to the list. And I think that is it. I think that's everything accounted for. So 2, 1, 3. Yeah, that should be 30. So no reject levels were played today. About time. Some actual good content in this one today. Alright. So that will be it for me, everybody. I hope you all had a good time here. This was fun. Couple other things to say. This let's look at the stats thing right here is a reference to something certain people will know about. I'm sure they appreciate that being used. And I hope you like this new little fancy look we got going on here. It's pretty fun. The reason why these counts are so far aligned left like this compared to where the totals are, that is for a reason. It will be more apparent as we go on. It will take a long time, but basically, just to show it, let's just say, click on Josh L. So if I want to say I completed every Josh L1 level, you can see it looks more complete. It looks more filled out. That's just the way the text aligns in OBS. What were we at? We were at 2 for that. So that's why it's aligned so far to the left right now. Over time, as we complete more and more, the numbers will get closer to the total, both visually and literally. But that's why it's like that. I know that's probably going to peeve a couple of you, but that's the way it's laid out. That's the way I have it, and that's the way it's going to stay. Unless any one of you have a better thing to recommend that's easier for my puny little brain to handle. But that'll do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. And if you guys got any topics to suggest to talk about, like Chips Challenge related or not, it really doesn't matter. Please let me know. I will do my best to go through with that. And with that, I hope you all have a good rest of your days, good rest of your nights, and you matter. You definitely matter. Don't think otherwise. See you all for the next episode, whenever that shall happen. I will try to get it out a little sooner than this one came out. So take care and see you later. I don't know why I smiled like that. It was cheesy. Sorry.